Hi, friends. Happy Monday to you. Well, I've got a question. Do you like Legos? Or maybe dice games or card games? Scavenger hunts? Well, I have some ideas for you. Today, what I'd like you to do, since we can't be together in our Zoom meeting this morning, is I'm going to share some ideas for some math games that you can play with Legos, with dice, cards, even scavenger hunts. And I'd like you to choose two of these games to play today. Now, you can play more, of course, and you can play them on a different day other than today, but choose two to practice today. I hope you have fun, friends. All right. Well, friends, I'm first going to show you a couple of Lego activities that you can do. I don't know about you, but playing with Legos is super fun. But we can practice some of our math with them as well. So, the first Lego activity I'm going to show you is about making patterns with your Legos. Now, a pattern is something that repeats itself. So, for example, up here, I chose some yellow and some red Legos, and I made a pattern with my Legos that repeats. So I have a tall yellow, a short red, tall yellow, short red, tall yellow, short red. Then I'm going to think about what might come next. What do you think comes next? You're right. It is a tall yellow. So this is called an A-B pattern because we have two different types of Legos that we're using. Now, down here, I have another type of pattern. So I have a tall blue, little yellow, little green, tall blue, little yellow, little green. I wonder what is going to come next. What do you think, friends? You are right, another tall blue. So, what kind of patterns can you make with your Legos? Now, I'm going to clear those off. Now, another activity we can do with Legos has to do with building towers. So, I've built a couple of towers here, and I want you to think about building the next tower. So if you had a pattern like this, got one, and then two, and then one, two, three, how many Legos do you think would be in our next tower? You're right, four. So you can build patterns like this as well. So try out some of these Lego activities, and I'm also going to add a link of other Lego activities you can do in our seesaw. Now, the next activity involves using the dice that you have at home. And in your packet, I sent home a couple of dice games that you can play. One of the dice games is called Greater Than, Less Than. And then I also sent home an addition and a subtraction paper for you to try. And what you should do is place that paper inside your dry erase pocket. And that way you can play this game over and over again and not write directly on the paper, but instead write on the dry erase. So the first game is greater than, less than. And what we're going to do for this game is we're going to shake two dice and count up how many spots we have on each of the dice. So here I have 6. Here I have 4. So I'm going to write those numbers in on top of my dry erase sheet, just like this, in the squares. Now, in the center circle, I'm going to put a symbol. But before we figure out that center circle there and what symbol we're going to add in the middle, we need to figure out which number is greater and which number is less. So if I built the number 6, I could use my linking blocks here and count out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I could count out 4 linking blocks of a different color to compare which one is greater and which one is less. Now I'm noticing that 6 is greater than 4. So I'm going to add a symbol here in this middle part. And the symbol is going to look like this. It looks like a little arrow. And the point of the arrow always points to the number that is less. And since 4 is less than 6, the pointy part of my arrow here is pointing to the 4. Now, let's pretend I shook doubles, that I shook 2 of the same number. Maybe I shook a 4 and then another 4. Well, if the numbers are equal or the same, I can use an equal sign in this box right here. So 4 equals 4. Now, I'll shake one more time. This time I have a 6 and a 2. So I'll put my numbers in the squares. And now I've got to figure out which number is less. And I'm going to make the point of my arrow point to the number that's less. So since 2 is less than 6, this time my arrow is going to point to the 2. Now we can also use our dice to play addition or subtraction games. So when we do addition and subtraction using dice, again, you're going to shake your 2 dice. Oh, I got double 4s. Excellent. So I'll write in my digits that I'm adding. And remember, I'm writing on my dry erase so I can reuse it. So I've got 4 plus 4 more. Here I've got my 4 linking blocks and 4 more. And now I'm going to look for the sum, and I'm going to put the sum in the box here below the line. So when I put those 2 groups of 4 together, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Excellent. Now you can do the same type of activity with the dice, but using subtraction. So when we're subtracting, we'd roll the dice. In this case, I got a 4 and a 1. And in subtraction, I always have to put the greater number on top. So 4 is greater than 1. So I'm going to say 4 minus 1. And now I'm going to find the difference. So if I have 4 and I take away 1, how many do I have left? You're right, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I can write my difference in the bottom down there. And then you can try to fill up these other squares with other subtraction problems. Now there's other fun games you can play if you have some cards at home. So maybe you have a deck of cards or an Uno game, or maybe you even have some different cards that have numbers on them. Well, I'm going to show you how to play a game with a deck of cards here. So I went ahead and I took out all the kings and jacks and queens. So I only have the number cards left. And one game you can play with a deck of cards, like a regular deck or an Uno deck, is a kind of a war game. So you could play with 2 people and you would deal the same amount of cards to both people. Maybe you start with 10 or something like that. And each person flips over their card. So player 1 would flip over his or her card, and player 2 would flip over their card. Now you're going to look at these 2 cards and try to figure out which card is greater. Which number is greater? And you can even, if it's a deck of cards, count the hearts or the spades or the clubs or the diamonds that are on it to help you. But in this case, I can tell that there are more hearts on the 10 card than there are on the 5 card. So 10 is greater than 5. Whoever has the greater number gets to keep both of those cards in their pile. Then each player would flip over their card again. You'd compare the cards, decide which card is greater. We've got a 10 and a 4. The 10 is greater. So this time, this player would win that hand. And you'd keep going until you run out of your cards. And whoever has the most cards in their pile at the end wins the game. Now, if you want to take it a step further, you can have each player flip over 2 cards. So in this case, we've got a 2 and a 7. And over here, we've got a 4 and a 3. Now, if you're playing where each player flips over 2 cards, each player is going to have to add up their cards. So here we have a 7 plus 2 more. So 7, 8, 9. So this player has a sum of 9. And let's see what the sum of the 3 and the 4 is. So I'm going to start at 4, 5, 6, 7. So the sum of 4 plus 3 is 7. Now, which is greater, 9, which is this sum, or 7? 9 is greater. So the player who has 9 gets to keep all those cards. So just another version of that card game. The final activity I want to show you is a shape scavenger hunt. Who doesn't love a scavenger hunt? Well, I certainly do. So with the shape scavenger hunt, you're going to choose a shape. Maybe it's a square or a circle, a rectangle or a triangle. And you are going to look around your house for things with that shape. For example, if you called out circle, you'd go around your house looking for all the things that you can find that are in the shape of a circle. I found this plate, I found a coaster, and I found a lid. But maybe you've got some other things that are in the shape of a circle. Or you could look for rectangles. So I found this book here, and this book is in the shape of a rectangle. And so is one of my red word cards. So you can look for rectangles around your house. You might also want to look for squares. So I found this game, and it's the game Sorry, and it's a little hard to see, but the box is perfectly square because all the sides are the same length. So, what kinds of shapes can you find at your house? Name one and try it out.